They say Hollywood is all glitz and glamour, but behind every red carpet smile, there's often a story the cameras never catch. At 78, beloved actress Sally Field, two-time Oscar winner, America's sweetheart, and the woman who defined generations of cinephilia for decades. She kept the peace, smiled for the press, and bit her tongue. But now she's telling the truth. In her searingly honest memoir In Pieces, and in a few rare interviews, Sally reveals the painful truth about working with some of the most iconic men in Hollywood. Some were cold, some were cruel, others, she says, tried to dim her light just to shine brighter themselves. And today, for the first time, we're walking through the names she never wanted to say but finally did. This is Sally Field's list of the 5 actors she hated working with the most. The ones who made her question her worth, her voice, and sometimes her love for acting itself. Let's begin. The year was 1977. Smokey and the Bandit hit theaters, and America fell in love with two things: Burt Reynolds and his on-screen chemistry with Sally Field. They were electric, witty, charming, unstoppable. Audiences were obsessed. To the public, they were Hollywood royalty. But behind the scenes, it was a very different story. At first, Sally was drawn to Burt's larger-than-life charisma. He was confident, powerful, already a star. And she, still on her meteoric rise, felt seen by someone who ruled the spotlight. But the admiration quickly turned into imbalance. Burt didn't want a partner, he wanted control. Slowly, quietly, he began to chip away at Sally's. He mocked her appearance in private, cloaked in teasing, undermined her intellect, belittled her talent. And yet, he did it with a smile, a charming mask that fooled the world. In interviews, he'd praise her with backhanded compliments. On red carpets, he'd hold her hand while silencing her voice. Sally later revealed that she never felt truly seen by him, that, even during her greatest successes, she felt invisible in his shadow. The emotional manipulation was subtle but suffocating. Love was given when she pleased him. When she didn't, he kept her off balance, controlled her with silence, withheld affection like a punishment. "I wanted to love him," she wrote. "I did love him, but he hurt me." And even after she walked away, Burt still called her the one that got away. But for Sally, leaving him wasn't just about ending a relationship, it was about reclaiming her voice. When Sally signed on to star in Backroads, she expected an emotionally rich, collaborative film. What she didn't expect was cold silence. From the very beginning, Tommy Lee Jones made one thing clear: he wasn't there to connect. No eye contact, no conversation, no warmth. During scenes, Sally felt like she was acting opposite a wall with eyes, maybe, but no soul, no spark, no humanity. She tried, gently. She cracked jokes, asked questions, tried to build chemistry. Nothing. He remained distant, dismissive, as if her presence on set was an inconvenience rather than a collaboration. Sally, who thrives on emotional truth and mutual trust, found herself drained. Every scene was a one-sided performance, every rehearsal a lonely echo. When the film finally released, critics noticed the disconnect. They said the leads lacked chemistry. But what the audience didn't know was the coldness wasn't scripted. It was real, and it broke Sally's heart. She never worked with Tommy again, and she never forgot what it felt like to pour your soul into a story, only to have your scene partner vanish behind emotional frost. Say goodbye. Maggie Cole was supposed to be a career-defining television drama, a serious role, a complex woman, a prestige project, but it never aired. And that was the least of Sally's pain. From the very first day, the set was chaotic, and at the center of that storm stood Robert Blake. Known for method acting, Blake blurred the line between character and reality, what others called commitment. Sally saw as volatility. He changed lines without warning, ignored direction, disrupted scenes on purpose. It wasn't collaboration, it was sabotage. Off camera, it got worse. Screaming at crew, walking off set, creating fear where there should have been focus. Sally, ever the professional, tried to keep things afloat. But it wasn't just a difficult set, it was a dangerous one. She carried the emotional weight of her character on screen, and the psychological burden of chaos behind it. Eventually, the production unraveled. The network shelved the film. It disappeared. But the trauma didn't. There are actors who act, Sally said, and there are actors who make everyone else small so they feel big. Robert Blake was the second kind. From that day on, she vowed, never again. Steel Magnolias is a beloved classic, a film about resilience, friendship, and womanhood, but behind the southern charm was a very different kind of storm. Sally came to set ready to give everything. Her character's grief was raw, personal, deeply human, and while the cast was stacked with talent, one dynamic made everything harder. Shirley MacLaine. From the start, Shirley approached every scene like a battleground, constantly referencing her awards, her resume, her legacy. Where Sally brought tenderness, Shirley brought turbulence. During one of the film's most emotional scenes, Sally's breakdown over her daughter's death, Shirley injected sarcastic asides, eye rolls, and muttered jokes. It wasn't in the script. It wasn't helpful. It felt deliberate. Still, Sally never cracked. She stayed composed. But when she went back to her trailer each day, she was emotionally wrecked, not from the acting, but from the energy. It wasn't just a clash of styles. It was a clash of egos, and Sally had no interest in ego. She just wanted to tell the story. Years later, she said, Shirley brought a cloud of chaos wherever she went. Not with anger, not with spite, just quiet, clear truth. She never worked with Shirley again. But she never forgot what it felt like to carry the emotional weight of a scene while someone else tried to steal it. Romantic comedy, the words alone should have brought joy. Kiss Me Goodbye was supposed to be light, playful, a breath of air in a heavy career. Instead, it became one of Sally's most draining experiences. James Woods didn't just act, he analyzed, questioned, rewrote. He challenged every direction, every line, every scene, not in pursuit of greatness but in pursuit of control. He critiqued Sally mid-scene, interrupted her performance in front of the crew, made offhand comments about her heart not being in it. One moment in particular cut deep. He told her it felt like she was phoning it in. She wasn't. She was giving everything she had. But to Sally, it wasn't the words, it was what they meant. Woods didn't want a partner. He wanted to dominate. He used intellect as a weapon, and Sally saw it clearly. It wasn't the role that wore me down, she later said. It was having to constantly defend my worth. Each day was a battle to be respected, and that battle left scars.